Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. West Ham's pre-season finished last week with a 4-0 defeat at Anfield, and our first competitive game of the season is on Saturday at home to Bournemouth. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on our opposition, the Cherries?
Good team, play with lots of pace. He's quietly gone about his business. Nobody's full, Eddie Howe either. He's quietly strengthened. Always bringing in players in, always with balance. Played with a 4-4-2 when they beat Cardiff. I mean, Cardiff set up as spoilers, and they still found a way around it. They've got good pace as well, which they've always had. It always looked to bring good pace in there. I think it's Cook. Cook's a very good player. I can't remember the geezers. Was it Fraser? Something like that. He was on the left wingers, I believe. He caused us all manner of problems in a game last season. Can't remember which one, but he was very, very good. I think Callum Wilson, following a big layoff, has got back to goal scoring form. Scored in the previous one. They got King up there, who's good for goals. It's a good team, good balanced team, mate, and good central defensive pairing as well.
Charlie, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, they're a decent team, and they've got a really good manager. And I think their manager makes them play above what they actually are as like a group of players. And that's not offense to them. I just think it's a similar situation with Burnley, where if you have the right manager and they play the right style of football for the players they've got, you can get more out of them than what they actually are. Because you look at someone like Fraser, who you've mentioned, or even Stanislas, and you're thinking they're potentially like Premier League players, but certainly like relegation candidates, sort of level Premier League players. But they play above themselves and play really well as a squad and as a unit. They didn't go mad in the transfer window like everyone else, which could be either a bad thing because everyone else has gone mad and bought loads of new players and they could go above them and then we see Bournemouth in a relegation battle, or because they actually have essentially the same group of players. They know each other, they don't need to gel, and they can go forward. And I think what you saw against Cardiff are a relegation candidate team for me, but they played really well, and I think they're going to look to continue a sort of mid-table-ish run this season.
Charlie, what is a good season? I know you just said they're looking at mid-table-ish. We as West Ham fans have been saying top 10 would be a good one, but what, as a Bournemouth fan, if you were a Bournemouth fan, what would you be saying is a good one?
As long as there's no real threat of relegation. I think it's tight because the league is so good this year that there's going to be probably quite a few relegation candidates in and around. And so if there's never any real threat of relegation, you're saying, oh, that's probably an acceptable season. If you're saying what's a good season, what are they going to be really, really happy with? Top 10 like us, to be honest. I think they're that good as a group of players, as a squad, to get top 10 and be super happy with that.
Gonzo, we always say the top 6 is locked down. You ain't getting into the top 6. Bottom place is locked down, and that's going to Cardiff. But the other 13 positions are up for grabs. Could Bournemouth be looking over their shoulder at relegation, or do you think they'll be comfortable this season?
I think they're comfortable. I think they're too well organised, and let's not forget that they've. I say let's not forget. I'm not even sure what the guy's name is, but they've broken their transfer record. So I think they've spent about £25 million on a player. Bournemouth's got a small ground. They're a small club, but that really goes for them. It's a lovely ground. There's a lot of goodwill to that club. It's a lovely place to go and play football, but it's small enough that it's. Well, I don't know if it's intimidating, but a lot of these players are now coming into the Premier League, big, foreign players, big names. They may not have gone to a ground like Bournemouth before, small changing rooms, all that sort of thing, not really got the facilities. But so I think that goes with them. And I just think the fact that they got stability with their manager, the fact that they have a style. We often talk about philosophy. Bournemouth have one. He buys players for the position that he wants. I think that stability, the fact that he's got good, quick players that suit his system, is enough to keep them away from relegation.
Gonzo, you both mentioned some players' names there. If you had to pick out one player to watch on Saturday for Bournemouth, which one would you be picking out as a danger man?
I probably want to say that Fraser again, but that's only because I've seen him in my own eyes. But I think Callum Wilson is a quick player. We've got to watch for him. And if his knee is fully recovered, we're going to have to keep our eyes on him and King, certainly.
What about yourself, Charlie? One player, not necessarily danger man, maybe someone that does the work at the other end of the pitch that's usually a standout performer for Bournemouth.
Yeah, I really like their fullbacks. I think their fullbacks are sort of instrumental to how they play, and both of them consistently, actually, if you watch their games consistently, everyone wide, like those fullbacks bomb up and they get into really good positions and cross really well. And then I think they're really decent defensively as well. If you're looking for just straight danger man, Callum Wilson's got the pace to punish us round the back. I don't particularly rate him as highly as everyone else does. I think he's a very good striker. I don't think he's incredible or anything. But if we step up like we did against Liverpool with a high line, and our defence has been shoddy over pre-season and against Liverpool, if he can get in around the back, one stick pass, and he'll probably put it in the back of the net because he is relatively clinical.
Yeah, I can only echo what you two have said about Bournemouth. They're a good team. I like them. I hope they stay up. Quite often there's one or two teams like Stoke last season. I really wanted them to go down just because I don't like Stoke. But Bournemouth's a team I'll never want to see get relegated. I'll always want to see them be in the Premier League. Good football. I agree with what Charlie said. I think Howe manages to get them to play above what they should be on paper, if you like. They've got two of the best pairings of fullbacks in the league, certainly away from the top six. There's not many clubs you can look at and say that right back and left back, Daniels and Smith, are probably better than any other Premier League club, I think. Interesting that they signed Brooks in the summer. It reminds me of the Lewis Cook deal when they brought him in from Leeds United, and he's excelled at Bournemouth. I don't know why he didn't start last week. I don't know if he just maybe had a knock or something, but it'd be spy if he didn't start against us in the centre midfield, give it more of a defensive shield compared to what Sermon might do. So it'll be interesting to see if Brooks can make the step up from the Championship as well. And Masuaku might have his hands full coming up against our 20-year-old right winger, eager to make his mark in the Premier League. So he would be the one to watch purely because we don't know enough about him. We know what Fraser's about. We know that he's got a bit of pace. He's quite small and strong. The only reason he causes problems is because he was up against a slow Zabaleta, if you like. We've now solved that issue, if you want. But with Brooks, I don't think, as football fans, we don't know what he's got in his locker. And as Charlie said, he's got one of the best right backs in the league behind him, and that could be a problematic area for us, because as me and Gonzo sort of thought, Masuaku struggled against Liverpool, and if Eddie Howe does his Eddie Howe thing, he'll be thinking he's the guy that I'm going to target, just like he targeted Zabaleta both times last season. They kept going for him. They got him on a booking. We ended up having to sub him off at their place on Boxing Day because he was on a booking and struggling. We had to get him off the pitch, and then we end up with Chiati or Antonio at right back purely because we need to get Zabaleta out there, and I think they could do the same to Masuaku. But anyways, before we move on to West Ham, normally we tell you our boats are open on Saturday, and they are. However, there's no tickets for pre-match. You cannot join us on the boats before the game, but if you want to join us after the game, the link is in the description below. And there's also some season tickets available. If you want one before Saturday, email us, hammerschat@gmail.com, and we'll do the rest for you. But Gonzo, formation 4-3-3 at Anfield. We're at home now. Is this where Pellegrini makes like a stamp and a statement and do something, or should he stick with his 4-3-3 and let's? One thing at Bournemouth got that we don't. Charlie said they know each other. They have a system. Blah blah blah. We don't have that. We have a rough idea what Pellegrini wants to do, but we also have players that haven't played in that system before, and this is the difference between the two sides. So what do you think? What would you like to see happen on Saturday?
Well, firstly, Bournemouth are going to play with two in the middle. So if there was ever going to be a time when we can play two in the middle, it would be against Bournemouth. However, I don't think we've got a two that are comfortable enough alongside each other. I think if you play Noble and Wilshere in there, I think there's similarities and perhaps combined lack of pace. I think they're going to get slaughtered. So I think we've got to go with a three. I think also we need to allow these players to get used to Pellegrini's system. We can't ditch it after one game, but I think that the personnel are going to need juggling around. But I would stick with the system.
But we'll come on to individual players in a second. Charlie, Bournemouth have scored 12 goals against us in the Premier League, the best opponent to play against if you're a Bournemouth fan. And that's their record in Premier League, 12 against West Ham United. It all started up in part with that 4-3 win for them. Callum Wilson with his hat-trick. He scored 5 in the last 5 against us as well. So defence, Charlie, we conceded 4 at Anfield. Does he need to bring changes? And if so, where would you like to see the changes in that back four?
My instinct against Liverpool would have been to play Zabaleta over Fredericks because I just haven't been convinced by him. But like you say, Bournemouth are too quick and too smart and have done it before to just like isolate him and really weaken him. So I think that just has to stay as it is. It's difficult because Cresswell obviously didn't have a full preseason, and so you can't really there's just not that many changes you can make. I think you could maybe argue bringing in Issa Diop or something like that just for a bit of more pace in the centre. But there's a reason he started with Balbrena, and I think that him and Ogbonna seems like the strongest centre-back pairing, and they hopefully will have learned some mistakes from their mistakes in the last game and maybe will be a bit more or a bit less flat-footed, I should say. But I think ultimately the back isn't where we're going to win this game. I think they'll probably get in behind us anyway, just because we have been so shaky, no matter what pairings and who's played where. So for me, I think we just keep it the same, try and let those people show that they've learned from their mistakes and not let people in the back as easily as they did against Liverpool.
Quick team news for you. Pellegrini has confirmed Anna Creswell is available for selection on Saturday. So, Gonzo, with that in mind, would you be looking at the left back spot, or would you be maybe changing Zabaleta for Fredericks or Diop for Balbuena as well?
No, I would just do the Cresswell one because I thought it was hard to pick out who was our worst player, but I think I did on the review suggest that it was Masuaku. That's the one I'll be doing. I think Fredericks, you've got to go with it because Fredericks is a switch in style and a switch in philosophy. So you have to go with that. I think putting Cresswell in there is not. I think you can still play that same style. Cresswell can still supply some ammunition from the left side. It's not like you're bringing in a totally defensive fullback for Masuaku. So, yeah, just a Cresswell for me.
Gonzo, Declan Rice got hooked at half-time at Anfield, and Mark Noble's coming for a bit of criticism from the fans in the middle of the pitch. We obviously have Sanchez and Obiang on the bench. Would you be making any changes in that middle there, or would you be keeping your faith in Rice and Noble?
I think he's got to do something drastic. Look, Eddie Howe's nobody's fault. He'll have seen the blueprint and he'll have seen a way. Because, like we say, we know nothing about Pellegrini's tactics. We do now. We've got one game, and Eddie Howe would have looked at it, and he's going to give him instruction to get behind, and he's going to assume that we're going to play our high line. But also, I can't believe that Pellegrini has gone all his career and been an idiot either. He's going to have seen that and noticed that we had a real lack of pace in midfield and someone to change the dynamic of it. He will have noticed that it was better when Wilshere dropped deeper, and he will have also noticed there was a big gap between the midfield and the defence. I would think that both Rice and Noble will go to the bench, and actually I think he's going to do something drastic. I think he'll bring Sanchez in as long as he's fit enough. I think you'll see Wilshere in there still at 3, and I think he's going to do something. It's a shame I haven't got Lanzini. Lanzini would go in there, but I think he might move Felipe Anderson into the central position. That's what I would do.
Charlie, 19-year-old Declan Rice, I mean, is this where it gets a little bit delicate, if you like? How do you handle this situation? Do you leave him in and let him learn from his mistakes, or do you get him out the firing line? And it depends on if you thought he had a bad game at Anfield, of course, but sort of punish him, if you like, for his poor performance.
No, I think you keep him in. I think if he didn't see Rice as either the long-term solution at defensive midfielder or the first team right now, Sanchez would have started, or someone else would have started in that role. Obiang, someone would have, let's be honest. But he put him in against the team who are arguably the only ones who can fight Man City for the title this year. And so if he does believe in him that strongly, then I think you just keep him in and you just let him learn from his mistakes, because at his age, you will continuously make mistakes. But the one thing that he seems to have over other people who come up from an academy in our team, anyone's team, is he seems to just have that fight for when a mistake happens, he gets up and just goes again. We saw it early last season. We've seen it. We're going to see it this season, I think. And so for me, I think you keep him in there because he's already shown faith in him to say, you're the first choice guy here. So why not? Why would we take him out now when he had a so-so game? I think it would be a bad decision.
I agree with what Charlie said about midfield, but Gonzo with defence. Creswell's the only change I would make to the back 8 of the side, if you like. I'd keep the midfield 3 as it is. It was Anfield. I think you sort of say you get off with that one, you 3, but pressure's on because Obiang's fresh and ready to go. Sanchez is getting fitter every day in training. And I think if we're going to have Declan Rice in defensive midfield, we have to allow for him to make mistakes. And while he made errors, he didn't make any glaring mistakes that led to a goal like he did at Arsenal when he ducked, example. There was none of that. And I think Noble and Rice, when you watch back the analysis, particularly the Jermaine Genius one as well, when he showed you why Rice got hooked at halftime and how Noble was actually the midfielder sitting back, that's either an instruction that's come from the bench, which is Noble's a defensive midfielder and Rice sits in front of him because he's got the legs, or Rice has shown his inexperience, if you like, and he's just not been disciplined. And it's one of the two. But both of them can be worked on in the training ground. I don't think it's a lack of effort, which is why I would hook someone. If there was a lack of effort there, I'd be saying sub them out. But I don't think there was. So I'd leave them in. But with Creswell, I think Creswell gives just as much, arguably more than Masuaku going forward. And I think defensively, he's better. So I would be putting him in at left back. The only other player I think that could be in trouble for his starting 11 position, Gonzo, is Mikel Antonio. Yarmolenko come on and looked good. Snodgrass looked good in pre-season. And when he came on, he took a corner, which caused them problems. And that was the only time we really threatened them. So he's got 2 options, or 3 if you include Antonio. Which option would you be going for?
Yarmolenko, and I certainly would be making a change. I wholeheartedly agree with that as well. I mean, I do think we were seeing we were just so one-dimensional in terms of our pace. I just think we need as many people in the team that can change the pace as possible. And obviously, you'd normally say Antonio was that guy, but he looked, not in terms of outright running speed, but he did actually look off the pace in terms of just how the game evolved around him. Now, under normal circumstances, we're not going to play against a team as pacey as Liverpool. Well, do you know what? Bournemouth might actually be one of those that are. Are they technically as good? No, but they do have a lot of pace. They've got people like Jordan Ibe and Stanislas, and people that we've not even discussed yet, as well as a fast front. So we can't have somebody that's going to go missing in the way that he did. And he's not on his own, Antonio, but I would put Yarmolenko on. He was... You know what? I looked at the game and I calmed down and I assessed it a couple of days afterwards. I didn't see the Jermaine Genius thing. And in a cold light of day, I realised actually nothing had changed. We were just really, really awful, you know. And the one bright spark you asked in the review, are there any positives? And we were scratching around for some. But when I looked back at it, I thought Yarmolenko was one of them. So you've got to reward somebody that does something well. I'll get him in.
Yeah, I completely agree. The one thing in Antonio's favour, though, is he scored in his last 2 games against Bournemouth. So while we might not want to see Antonio playing against Bournemouth, either does Eddie Howe. The Betway bet this weekend, or charity bet, where Betway stick 50 quid on. If it wins, the money goes to charity, which is the eyeless fight. Just now is Marko Nautovic to score, West Ham United to win. Both teams have 3 corners or more, and to be 3 yellow cards, well, 3 cards, it could be red, 3 cards or more in the game. That's 11-2. So for your tenner, you'll get back 65 quid. Only available with Betway. There's no links below because it's not an affiliated account of that. Just go on to Betway yourself and have a punt if you so wish. Charlie, what does Pellegrini need to do differently on Saturday compared to Sunday? And are you confident ahead of this game?
Don't concede so many. That's an easy thing to say. I think, honestly, what I was disappointed by most wasn't really the result, was more we didn't really create much, and we didn't seem to have in pre-season there seemed to be a couple of times where people started to link up really nicely. We'd see a couple of passing triangles here and there, and we'd start to shift the ball in a really nice way, which meant we would be able to punish teams. What disappointed me most against Liverpool was not that we lost badly, because I sort of expected that going in. It was more that we didn't create that. We didn't see that in full effect, and Liverpool are a very, very good team, but I would have hoped we could have done that a little bit. So really going against Bournemouth, you feel we probably will be able to do that. If we can't do it against Bournemouth, then who we are going to be able to do it against, apart from Cardiff? I think we need to be able to just play a little bit more freely, and we have the players in there. Noble's not a great player, but at least he can pick out a pass when he wants to, and then just create with those people going forward, and hopefully create some actually good chances for once. And I'm optimistic. Let's say I think they are there for the taking, and if they're not, if that doesn't go ahead, then we've got problems deeper down the line in the season.
Gonzo, what about yourself? What would you like to see different, and are you confident?
I think it's really hard to be confident. I think at some point we've got to realise that Allardyce had a really, really bad defence, and Bilic had a really bad defence. David Moyes had a really bad defence. Now, defence of Pellegrini's first game in charge, a really, really bad effort. I think maybe we just got to accept that we're really crap at defending and go and attack it. And Charlie's absolutely right. I predicted a 3-1 loss. I expected us to lose. Everyone did. But I expected more than 2 goals on target. What I want to see us do different is attack, just like Charlie said. But I do think we need to address that midfield. I just think Wilshere, Noble and Rice are similarly paced. And I think something, whatever it is, needs to go in there to change that. I would not rule out playing Hernandez either. If chances are going to be few and far between, then we want that guy in a box. But it's our first home game of the season. Let's not forget that. Actually, it's not just about tactics and shape. Actually, the dynamic of our first game of the season, the atmosphere in the crowd, how we're going to get on as fans with the team. It all starts. It really starts. No one expects anything from Bournemouth, but no one expects anything from Liverpool. But this game against Bournemouth has become far more important than it ever should have been. So let's just hope we got something to cheer, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to place too much importance on this. I mean, if you want to look ahead to the next 7 games, I think 5 of them are against the top 8 of last season or something. So we've got some difficult fixtures coming up. But I don't want to place too much emphasis on this game. I would like to see more attacking, not so much. I was going to say the whole team push up. I don't really want to see our defence push up anymore. They were far enough forward against Liverpool. But I want to see the midfield. I actually want to see the wide players in. I thought they were too wide at Anfield. I thought Anderson, whenever he got the ball, he was on the actual touchline, and Antonio was on the other touchline. And there was just, if you did a triangle between Anderson and Arnautovic and Antonio at Anfield, it was massive. The triangle was massive. I would like to see that tighter together, almost like Liverpool's front three. If you go have a look at that, how often did you find Salah and Mane stand beside a centre back? As soon as they had the ball banned, they were in there, in beside the striker, saying, "I'm now an inside forward," and it caused us all sorts of problems. We should have been doing that, and we weren't. We were just sticking to their full-backs, and then we had two centre-backs on Arnautovic, and Gomez and Van Dijk had a good afternoon, but they had an easy afternoon. We made it easy for them. They didn't have to break a sweat. I don't think Van Dijk had anything on his shirt at the end of the game. There's no sweat, no dirt, nothing. What I would like to see, if we are struggling, hopefully not, is Perez come on. I do think he's actually our, I don't want to say wild card, but I do think he's going to be our underrated signing of the summer. We've done all this and splashed all the money, but it's the £4 million signing that actually excites me, because if you were to say, take off Noble and put Wilshere deeper with Rice and put Perez in behind Arnautovic, and we've seen from his stats from La Liga, he can create. He's maybe not as good at goal scorers than Arnautovic or Hernandez, but he's better at creating chances than both of them. But Yarmolenko on the right wing instead of Antonio would change our team massively on Saturday. I said to Gonzo, I said the problem going 1-0 down at Anfield last season, Pellegrini went from changing personnel to changing system because we went 2-0 at half-time. I think it was 1-0. He could have done the Yarmolenko for Antonio and changed the game without actually changing the tactics. And that's what I'm looking for on Saturday. But I'm reasonably confident. Reasonably. So score prediction time. Charlie, would you like to kick us off, please?
I think we're going to see goals. I think we'll concede again. I just don't have any confidence in our defence to not concede at this point. But I do think we'll do well. I think it's going to end 2-2, but we'll feel very positive after the game.
If it helps, 5 of our last 6 head-to-heads with Bournemouth have seen both sides score. And just go back to what you said, Charlie, about how we don't have a good defence in Premier League, and Gonzo agreed. I actually don't think anyone outside the top 6 has a good defence except Burnley. I think nobody has a good defence. There's just goals, goals, goals. It's about who can score the most. Gonzo, I think you were sort of half agreeing with Charlie there, but what's your score prediction?
Yeah, the 2-2 as well. I totally agree. That's what I was going with as well, which is obviously your favourite scoreline.
Yeah, but I'm not going for it. I'm going for 2-1 West Ham. I think we've got enough in our locker. I think they had a good win last weekend, but they probably had the best fixture out of everybody in the league. And I think that while we have to apply context to our fixture, we have to apply a little bit of context to theirs as well and say, well, actually, while we had one of the most difficult, they had one of the easiest. I think we'll win and I think the atmosphere will make a big difference as well. But that's been Charlie, that's been Gonzo, I've been Gio. We've been Hammers Chat. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. Let us know in the comments below what changes you would like to see, if any. There's plenty of people out there ringing numerous changes to the back line in the midfield. You've also got Hernandez, Perez, lots of possibilities for Pellegrini to pick from. Let us know what you think, and also, of course, let us know your score prediction. Only one of us 3 are thinking there's going to be a win. The other 2 are going for a draw. Let us know, and we will see you on Saturday afternoon for the match review. Catch you then.